Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Dylan Bradshaw. We come in here every single week and talk about all things involving the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Young Money Kyle Larson. Dylan, not a very eventful week of racing, I guess you could say, for Kyle Larson. We just have to discuss Grandview at high limit from last Wednesday, and then the Richmond race for the Cup Series, which is extremely uninteresting. So let's get started with Grandview. I was there last Wednesday night on location. Didn't do an on location video. I didn't get the best clips to get a YouTube video out there, but um, I took my girlfriend out there, her first ever race, and I gotta say it was not the most ideal conditions for her first race. I've been to a ton of races in my lifetime, and I think Grandview last Wednesday night was probably the dustiest race I've ever been to. I came prepared with my safety glasses like usual. Usually don't have to use them, but I looked around maybe 10 laps into the feature, and I was like, man, am I being a wimp, or is it like, or is other people like, is it affecting them too? And I had my shirt pulled up all the way up to my glasses, over my nose, like everybody. I looked around, everybody else kind of did too, but I was like, man, I never had to do this before in a race, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you because you're obviously there what the conditions were like. They didn't look too good on the broadcast, but racing wise, Larson he looked like the car to beat all night. Quick time, he got the heat win, dash win, so looked like he kind of had it under control. He was just gonna take home the win there, but Rico ultimately passed Larson. I think it was 17 laps to go or so on the restart. Rico picked up his first high limit win. Larson still holds a commanding lead over points in the high limit. I think it's like 44 points over Rico, and then from there, Rico he holds a 61 point lead over Eliason. So pretty much just Larson and Rico controlling the series right now. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Did you think Larson kind of had it in the bag there at Grandview?
Yeah, well, aside from the conditions, it was a little bit hard to pay attention too. Like with it being so dusty like that, you were kind of just rooting for a caution to come out so you could breathe for a minute or two. And there were a couple of cautions there, but when that restart came with 17 laps to go, I think that was maybe the third or fourth restart of the race. Kyle on the restarts prior to that, he had chosen the bottom every single time because the choose rule in effect there with the High Limit Sprint Car Series. I do like that a lot. I think it's an awesome twist in sprint car racing. But with 17 to go, Kyle changed it up and he went to the top. He chose the top on that restart and put Rico on the bottom. And coming into one and two, Rico uh, slid him hard, and that was all she wrote pretty much. Rico cruised off into the sunset, or I guess into the dust, you could say, uh, picking up the win. But definitely, kind of a maybe not a questionable decision. I'm sure Larson had his reasons for choosing the top there, but Rico just took good advantage of it. Got a really good start there on the bottom. Maybe I don't know. Maybe if Kyle just didn't get as good of a start on the top, how it would have played out if he got a better start. But that doesn't really matter now looking back.
Yeah, it's pretty much been a battle this year between Rico and Larson. Announcers they always kind of hint at is there a little bit of a rivalry going. They say there's no rivalry, but I feel like Rico is kind of he's just been preying on Larson here these races. He's come so close week in week out, especially with the high limit races. But with that win, there's a cool little stat. Rico actually joined Larson and Macri. They're the only drivers in the country this season to have wins in all three Sprint Car National Tours, which is World
Oh
of
wow.
Outlaws and High Limit. So those guys, they're kind of at the top of the food chain right now in terms of speed. Macri, kind of surprising given his situation with the car owners and so on and so forth. But yeah, Rico joined them, so I don't really see any signs of Rico and Larson slowing down.
Yeah, absolutely not. And like you talked about before, the point situation with high limit, kind of, in my opinion, is down to Rico and Larson now for the remaining races of the season because obviously Macri or I guess did I say Abreu or what did I say? I said Rico and Larson, yeah. But
Yeah.
Macri's kind of out of it now with him not or missing this past race. He was sitting second in points between Larson and Rico, but him taking on the 7BC ride while Tyler Courtney's out with the All Star Circuit of Champions. that's kind of shifted it to be a two-man race in the points battle there. So going to be interesting to see where things shake out for High Limit the rest of the season. I think Grandview was definitely one of the smaller shows of the year. I was kind of a little bit disappointed to see, like, I mean, with the rain out on Tuesday, there not much really they could control there. They lost some cars that had to head out west for the All Stars stuff in Illinois. Uh, that same night, they ran head to head Wednesday night, and so it wasn't a ton of cars there, but the turnout was great for the fans. There was a lot of fans there, and heading into Kokomo this Tuesday or tomorrow night, I should say. Really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, there's definitely some good races left. Kokomo, sorry, like you just said. The Houston's race, Lernerville's like a 50K show, I think.
Yep.
Um, then you got Bridgeport, Lincoln, and Indiana. So got some good tracks coming up, all kind of, somewhat tailored to Larson's driving style. So it's not too surprising the domination that he's shown because these tracks are kind of in his wheelhouse. But yeah, Kokomo, excited to see it. Hopefully, it's a little bit better than Grandview was. We did not think it was the best show at all, like you kind of just explained. But yeah, excited for Kokomo.
Absolutely. So that's tomorrow night on Flow Racing, the High Limit Sprint Car Series at Kokomo. I think that's the seventh race of 11, and going to be a good one for sure. So as far as NASCAR goes, let's shift it over to NASCAR. Not the most exciting weekend for Kyle Larson at the Richmond Raceway. I think it left a lot to be desired, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot to be desired for Kyle and the five team as well as Hendrick Motorsports as a whole. I mean, it was really surprising for me, Dylan, after being there in the spring, watching Kyle win at Richmond. Kind of, we were surprised he was as fast as he was that day, but what was even more surprising was this weekend, the lack of speed that Hendrick had.
Yeah, I mean it was I think Elliott was the one up front, but Larson, Bowman, and Byron, they were all a lap down. Yeah, crazy. I don't know if necessarily it's Chevrolet as a whole that was just been slow, or the other programs are just faster. Like Ford's just kind of been dominating. We saw Buescher pick up the win. Roush, Fenway, they've kind of came back a little bit. Keselowski, he's been surging up a little bit. I think that was his third top 10 in his last four races. He had a chance at the win. He led some laps. I think he had like a pit crew mistake or whatever on pit road, but
I think it was his error on pit road.
yeah,
He missed his box, or he almost missed his box.
he was like sideways in his pit
Yep.
stalls. Kind of screwed him, but fun to have a mix of new cars up front. RFK, they've kind of been a back marker since the next gen kind of debut, but I think it just makes the sport a little bit better. You have better teams up there battling. It's not just the same teams up there, but yeah, I think the Fords just kind of dominated. Kyle Busch was the highest finishing Chevy. I think he finished third, and then you had Austin Dillon. I think he finished ninth. So yeah, Chevys just were not dominant at all. It's kind of just a Ford heavy race, but yeah, pretty boring race. I think the spring race was a little bit more exciting, but they did have a test today and tomorrow. It's 2-day test for a new short track package that they're testing at Richmond. Gregson was amongst one of the guys. I think Byron might have been one of them. I saw the Hendrick 24 test car out there. So they're testing some new packages as we gear up for the playoffs. Hopefully, it helps in the future. There's the next gen, because as we know, the short track program has just been very bad. But yeah, we're heading into Michigan. Hopefully, we have a good result there, Kyle. That's one of his better tracks. He has 3 wins at Michigan, 8 top 10s, and 14 starts. So definitely one of his better tracks. Michigan and Dover are kind of his best statistical stats that he races at. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, definitely always look forward to Michigan. Like you said, one of Kyle's best tracks there. But I think the only like big moment, I guess, or you could kind of say big moment. I didn't think it was huge. Was at Richmond, Kyle did get into Hamlin a little bit. What were your thoughts on that move? Obviously, I was telling somebody today. It didn't really mean a lot to me because it's like when Kyle's fighting to like not go a lap down and he runs into Hamlin, it's like, well, it probably doesn't hurt Hamlin too much. I'd rather see it racing for the lead or racing for a win.
Yeah, I put on the Instagram story that he didn't touch him because all week Hamlin has just been so confident that he didn't touch him. So Yeah, I mean, Kyle, he had that interview before the race saying he usually doesn't let situations like that linger, but it just kind of like pissed him off and he's frustrated with it, especially after the, actions detrimental podcast that Hamlin has and giving his side of things. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it was really a huge deal. I mean, Larson, I think he was on new tires at that point.
Yeah.
We just kind of moved him out of the way. Not too much contact, just kind of give him a nudge to say, hey, I'm here. Probably wouldn't have done that if Hamlin didn't do the things that he's done in Kansas and at Pocono. But I mean, it wasn't like a crazy move. I would rather see him go on the wall because he kind of deserves it at this point. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal.
I thought it was interesting that Kyle said in his interviews before Richmond that him and Denny texted back and forth, but they did. Kyle, or I think Denny wanted to meet with Kyle in person, and Kyle kind of was like, "No, I don't want to meet in person." He thought it was going to piss him off even more if he got face to face with him. So Kyle kept it to a text message conversation, what they talked about during the week, and another big takeaway from that same interview. I can't remember where I watched it with Kyle was. He kind of explained how when he gets in incidents like that late in the race where he ends up losing a race, he always thinks about the things that he could have possibly done to not put himself in that position or to like not be in that position in the first place. Obviously, guys do stuff and run into Kyle all the time, it feels like, but there are certain situations where if he had done this or done that, maybe he wouldn't have been there. But Kyle kind of said the most frustrating part about the incident with Hamlin was that there was really nothing he could have done. He was trapped. He got pushed up into the wall, and he was racing clean. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all you can do. And hopefully we get a little bit of a better payback than that. Hopefully that's not the end of it. I think I'm still a little bit salty about it, and I hope Kyle is too. But four more races before the playoffs start: Michigan, Indy Road Course, Watkins Glen, and Daytona. Dylan, which one are you looking forward to the most? Because they're all pretty much wild card tracks. I mean, Richmond. I mean, Michigan being a 2 mile track, we don't see the cars on a 2 mile track that often.
Yeah, I was gonna say this week it kind of seems like the last chance for a lot of drivers to kind of get a fighting chance at locking up a playoff bid. I mean, it's the last, unrestricted oval race. Like you said, you have the Indy Road Course, Watkins Glen, Daytona. Those are all toss-ups for the most part. Last year we had 16 different winners. That was crazy. Four races left. There's a chance there could be a chance of repeat from last year. I mean, two out of the four races being road courses. Daytona at the end. I mean, it's pretty unpredictable. We could get some new winners still. Bushers picked up that one, so that was another one. So yeah, I mean, it could get kind of crazy at the end of the stretch. We talked about last week Chase Elliott. If he has a chance of locking up a win, it'd probably be at Indy or Watkins Glen, one of those two tracks. So still a lot of good drivers kind of outside of that bubble sitting on points that need a win. I'll be at Daytona. Maybe we'll see some crazy moves happening at Daytona. Some guys trying to get some Hail Mary plays to try to lock themselves in. Hoping that race doesn't rain out though. That race is it's kind of known for raining out. Last year we had the crazy one that Austin Dillon won. There was like no cars left on the track. I mean, every single person was pretty much wrecked out. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's pretty crazy. We might get more than 16 winners. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I think Indy. Isn't that where Shane Van Gisbergen's gonna race again?
So yeah, and
Yes.
everyone hyped up about him, getting a full-time ride. And I saw some people, I mean, they just must not pay attention to racing all. They're asking why Van Gisbergen doesn't have a locked playoff spot after Chicago. I don't think people know how the system works, but
What do you
yeah,
think if he gets 2 wins though? Do you think he should be? No,
I
just
mean,
kidding. But him, I think it's gonna be him and the other V8 supercar guy that I'm not sure his name, but he's gonna be in the RCR number 33 car. So we'll see. Can both of them beat the NASCAR regulars at Indy? Looking forward to that one. Looking forward to Watkins Glen. Always a good track for Kyle there, and then Daytona just gonna be chaotic, and hopefully to get out of there clean and safe and into the playoffs to start off Kyle's quest for a second championship. I know it hasn't been the best stretch of races over probably the past 8 or 10 since Kyle's win at North Wilkesboro, but um, you know. The playoffs, we kind of get some more normalcy with the schedule, get back into a normal flow of tracks, and really looking forward to that.
Yeah, Michigan, one thing to kind of look out for, I think it's going to be, a heavy fuel strategy race, probably a lot of, two tire calls, maybe some fuel only calls there. A lot of guys just pushing the limit, probably running on fumes there at the end of the stages. So, another strategical track. Richmond usually play a lot of strategy. Michigan going right into it. A lot of strategy involved with that one. So, going to be interesting. Hopefully we finish well. Like you said, the beginning of the season, we were just kind of on our high horse. Larson pretty much had a car capable of winning every single race. And, after Wilkesburg kind of died down a little bit, he did rack up a good bit of top 10 finishes there. But, should have had that win at Pocono, kind of freshen things up. But, good old Denny Hamlin.
Yep, can't do anything about that one, but obviously still a lot of races left in the season, and very much in the playoff, championship contention. So with 2 wins, sitting pretty good there, can't complain, and just ready for the playoffs to get started and get into that the grind, the real grind time of the season. So, Dylan, unless you had anything else, I think that's pretty much all I have for today's show.
No, that should pretty much wrap it up. As always, thank you guys for the support. Had that on location video at Pocono last week. Go check that out if you haven't. We'll have another one next week or next month at Daytona, most likely. So yeah, the on location videos are always fun. It's always fun getting out to the track, recording some videos, giving everyone kind of a sneak peek behind the pits for the NASCAR track. So it's definitely an awesome experience, and if you have the chance to participate, I definitely recommend it.
Absolutely, it's so much fun. I mean, like I was telling people just even the past week. I think even though it was like a NASCAR, usually I'm like, oh, I love the going to the dirt track more and love going to the different tracks. But man, Pocono was one of the like that day, that Sunday at Pocono was probably one of the most fun races I've been to, and like one of the best experiences I've ever had at a racetrack. So it was really cool and super thankful to everybody involved with the 5 team and Kyle Larson that really made that happen. So we'll be back again next week to recap everything from Michigan, everything from Kokomo with the High Limit Sprint Car Series, and anything else that Kyle Larson may participate in. As always, if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow our podcast so you don't miss a thing. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.